The greatest threat to your ultimate success, your inner peace, and your highest human potential is not the economy, it is not your competitors, and it is not the unforgiving cruelty of external circumstances. It is the silent, parasitic dictator living inside your own skull, your ego. Ego is the deceptive, hyper-inflated voice that whispers that you are already special, that you are inherently superior to others, and that the world owes you recognition before you have even bled for your achievements. It is the protective armor worn by the deeply insecure, an internal hallucination that distorts reality, magnifies your minor victories, and completely blinds you to your catastrophic flaws. The modern world has engineered a massive, hyper-connected validation machine specifically designed to feed this parasite, encouraging you to broadcast your unfinished goals, celebrate your microscopic wins, and mistake digital applause for actual real-world sovereignty. Every single time you indulge in this superficial praise, you are actively starving your drive, inflating your self-importance, and ensuring your ultimate stagnation. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus laid down a brutal, unyielding truth for his students when he declared that it is utterly impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The moment your ego convinces you that you have arrived, that you are a master, or that you are above the agonizing labor of basic execution, your growth instantly drops to zero. To attain true, monumental success that withstands the test of time, you must make the terrifying, calculated decision to completely murder your ego. You must deliberately enter a state of psychological starvation, stripping away the false narratives of your specialness and forcing your mind into a cold, hyper-focused reality where your actions are your only currency. To begin this brutal process of internal excavation, you must first master the parameters of what the Stoics called radical self-remediation. Your ego thrives on the constant manufacturing of external enemies. It desperately needs someone else to blame for your current failures, your lack of discipline, or your stagnant bank account. When things go wrong, the ego immediately steps forward as a highly sophisticated defense attorney, pointing fingers at your upbringing, your lack of resources, your unfair boss, or the sheer bad luck of the universe. This is a comforting lie that keeps you weak. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the absolute isolation of his imperial tent during the Germanic campaigns, looked directly into his own soul and commanded himself to eliminate all external blame, noting that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your own estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Starving your ego means implementing a strict dictatorship of absolute personal accountability. You must stand in front of a mirror and look at your reflections without the filtering lens of your self-serving excuses. If you are broke, if you are out of shape, if you are undisciplined, or if your life is in complete chaos, you must accept that you are the primary architect of that reality. This realization is not meant to crush your spirit. It is meant to liberate your power. The moment you strip away the ego's defense mechanisms and take full, agonizing ownership of your current failures, you instantly regain the power to change them. You transition from a helpless victim of fate into a sovereign executioner of your own destiny. As you commit to this path of absolute accountability, you must systematically dismantle your toxic dependency on public validation. The modern individual is deeply addicted to showing the world their progress. They post about their early mornings, they tweet about their upcoming business ideas, and they broadcast their minimal achievements to gain a quick, cheap hit of social dopamine. This is pure fuel for the ego. When you tell someone about your grand plans, or when you share a half-finished project online, your brain receives a premature release of neurological reward. It confuses the praise of your intention with the raw satisfaction of actual achievement. As a direct result, your deep internal hunger is starved, and when you finally sit down to do the actual heavy lifting, you find yourself completely drained of motivation. The Stoic master Seneca warned his friend Lucilius that true greatness does not seek the noisy approval of the crowd, It thrives in the quiet, undisturbed depths of solitary excellence. Starving your ego requires you to operate in total obscurity. It demands that you legally disappear from the grid of societal posturing. Let the world think you have fallen off. Let them think you have grown distant, and let them think you are completely irrelevant. There is an immense, almost supernatural reservoir of psychological power that accumulates when you work day after day in a closed, silent room, telling absolutely no one what you are building. You allow the energy of your ambition to build up like steam inside a sealed, high-pressure boiler until its only possible method of escape is through the massive, undeniable explosion of your real-world success. This silent execution requires you to adopt the permanent psychology of the eternal student. The ego is deeply terrified of appearing ignorant, weak, or unrefined. It will actively prevent you from asking critical questions, seeking mentorship, or entering new rooms where you are the least knowledgeable person, because it cannot tolerate the bruising of its self-image. It wants you to remain a big fish in a microscopic, meaningless pond. Stoicism demands that you aggressively shatter this comfort zone. Through the deliberate practice of intellectual humility, you must actively seek out environments that expose your true limitations. You must put yourself in rooms where you are outclassed, out-earned, and outperformed by everyone around you. When you sit in those spaces, your ego will scream at you to speak up, to boast about your past achievements, and to defend your pride. You must violently suppress that urge. You must adopt what Zen philosophers call the beginner's mind. Combined with the icy, analytical detachment of a Stoic, stand in the back of the room, keep your mouth shut, open your eyes, and absorb everything. Treat every single person you meet, whether they are a billionaire mentor or a low-level worker, as a potential teacher who possesses a piece of knowledge that you lack. By viewing yourself as a permanent white belt, you keep your mind sharp, adaptable, and completely immune to the devastating complacency that destroys successful empires. To sustain this hyper-focused trajectory over years of grueling labor, you must learn to detach your identity completely from your external results. This is one of the most profound and difficult paradoxes of Stoic philosophy. The ego is a shape-shifting parasite. When you win, it expands into arrogance. When you lose, it collapses into crippling self-pity and depression. If your self-worth is tied to the volatile graph of your daily metrics, your bank account, or the applause of your peers, you are fundamentally unstable. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that both praise and blame are entirely meaningless, comparable to the shifting of the wind or the passing of clouds. A true Stoic operates under the absolute law of the internal dichotomy of control. You must realize that you have absolute control over your effort, your focus, your integrity, and your daily execution, but you have zero control over the final outcome, the market's reaction, or the world's appreciation. Therefore, you must starve your ego by refusing to let your wins go to your head and refusing to let your losses go to your heart. When you achieve a massive victory, you do not throw a grand celebration to feed your self-importance. You look at the achievement, acknowledge it with a cold nod, and immediately return to the baseline of your daily routine. When you suffer a catastrophic failure, you do not enter a state of emotional paralysis. You view it as a neutral data point, a routine stress test of your system, and you continue to execute without hesitation. By divorcing your identity from the outcome, you achieve a state of psychological invulnerability that allows you to work with absolute clarity, ultimately the ultimate weapon that will forever crush the wind from your ego and feed the flame of your success. Is the daily, unflinching meditation on Memento Mori, the constant remembrance of your inevitable death. The ego can only survive when a human being operates under the profound psychological illusion that they are the center of the universe and that their time on this earth is infinite. We allow pride to ruin our relationships. We let small insults dictate our moods. And we delay taking massive action because our ego convinces us that our petty dignity matters. Death exposes all of this as a tragic, laughable joke. Every single morning, before you step into the arena of the world, you must confront the brutal reality that you are nothing but a temporary speck of biological dust existing for a brief fraction of a second in an infinite universe. When you look at your life through the terrifying clarity of your imminent demise, the inflated gravity of your ego instantly evaporates. Your fear of failure, your anxiety about public opinion, your pride, and your hesitation are all instantly burned away, leaving behind nothing but the pure, unadulterated urgency of the present moment. Does it make any sense to waste the limited, precious moments of your existence protecting a fragile self-image? Are you truly willing to let your ultimate potential be suffocated by your need to look good in front of people who do not care about you? Death simplifies the human equation, stripping away the superficial noise and forcing you to realize that the only thing that truly matters is the depth of your execution and the magnitude of the legacy you leave behind. The time for intellectual consumption is now over. The theoretical gates are closing, and the transition from a passive listener to a ruthless, egoless warrior must occur within your neurology this very second. Stand up from your place of comfort. Take your digital validation machines and throw them into the dark. Silence the deceptive voice inside your head that tells you that you are already special, and look directly into the eyes of your chosen labor. Your ego will undoubtedly launch one last desperate rebellion. It will tell you that you deserve a break, that you are above this tedious work, and that you should seek comfort. Ignore that treacherous voice with an icy, stoic indifference. You are no longer a slave to the cheap validation of the crowd or the fragile pride of your self-image. You are the sovereign ruler of your internal empire, and you have chosen the path of low-profile, absolute power. Immerse yourself completely in the magnificent, healing darkness of your silent execution. Labor with an intense, quiet devotion through every passing second, and let the world remain completely blind to your efforts until the undeniable, towering monument of your real world, success completely, shatters the silence of their ignorance. Enter your fortress, starve your ego, and feed your success today.